It's called The Gritty Truth of School Transformation, 8 Phases of Growth to Instructional Rigor by Amy, I guess it's Dujan. Okay? That book is something where this concept came. In reading this book and going to seminars around this book, I want to share this with you, the definition of rigor. Somebody share out what it appears. Oh, how about this? What are the components of rigor? What are the 2 major components of rigor? When we talk about having a rigorous classroom, leading student achievement in a rigorous way, what are the 2 major components that we can see from the visual definition? Complexity and autonomy. The first, complexity. How much habits of mind are the students engaged in? Are the students getting the opportunity to do the heavy lifting? Are the students able to take information and interpret it on their own? Discovering misunderstandings? Outing those misunderstandings on their own? Are they getting the opportunity to communicate that? Is the majority of the work away from the smartboard? Does Heckstall, the teacher, does the learner have the opportunity to look at the visual definition and come to their own conclusions, number 1, about what it is and how to use it? And if the teacher discovers along the way a misgiving, does the learner, after it's pointed out, does the learner have the opportunity to redirect? Complexity. Autonomy. Autonomy is the student the one doing the research. Is the student creating the presentation, and not just creating the presentation, the opportunity to present that information. Physics. Does the student have the ball? The concept is just introduced quickly. The student sees the concept of motion. The student begins to play around with motion. The teacher comes up and says, okay, what are the components of the ball moving? Well, the ball's fast. What is fast? Speed. You follow? The student is beginning to discover, outing, rather than the teacher at the front in a class saying, well, this is motion, this is that, etc. The 2 components, complexity, autonomy. Somebody speak to me how you have seen rigor in your classroom within the last 10-day cycle. Give me one example of something you've done that has been rigorous, and tell us how it was rigorous based on the visual definition. You do the thinking, you do the learning.
Well, in my classes we're still working on our cell analogy project.
Okay.
And we purposefully made the instructions kind of vague to where they had to kind of decipher what it looked like, and so then I acted more as a facilitator for them instead of me saying this is exactly what it looks like, and it doesn't become cookie cutter. Mm-hmm. So they're having to actually research and actually try to make more connections than they're comfortable with.
I want to push in on that. But I'm going to let Dinkins do it. Dinkins, the question I want you to ask him is find out a little bit more about that concept of facilitator, because we throw it out a lot. Come up with some questions right now. You two have a collaborative conversation on what it means to be a facilitator. So you generate an essential question. Do it right now in real time.
What does facilitation look like?
So with my students, when I'm facilitating, since it's an analogy project and they're making comparisons, I don't give them the exact comparison. I'll say, well, how do you know that that's a comparison? If we're comparing it to this organelle to a sports team, how do you know that that is the head coach? Why is the nucleus the head coach? Why are you making that connection? Just really asking more questions in facilitation to understand where they are, to lead them where they need to go. Not necessarily me saying, oh, that's correct, that's right. I don't like just saying, yes, that's the answer. In facilitation, they need to seek it themselves.
So it sounds like you made this project more inquiry-based, like, instead of telling them what the organelles do and how, the analogies yourself, you're having them to discover their own analogies, which is going to cement the learning.
That's the goal. Because they ultimately have to know every function. So if I'm telling them the function, they're not necessarily learning it. So if they're actually trying to work with it, I feel like they understand it.
In real time, I'm aggressively monitoring. Stop, pause, concepts run together. I'm the teacher just for a second. I can tell that Dinkins understands what it is to be a facilitator. Shelton, tell me how I could write that on my aggressive monitoring sheet. Tell me what I was able to observe to know that this child, this student, you're still a child, that this child, this student understands the concept of facilitation. Let's be big. Let's run some concepts. What was I able to do in real time to know that she understands the concept of what it means to be a facilitator? And how did I get there?
Well, initially, I feel like you kind of knew where each of your students were. You had an understanding of where they were. So you were able to prompt a discussion between two students in a peer aspect. So instead of coming off and you giving your perspective on facilitation or providing your wonder, you gave that role to a peer so that they could give their ideas on it versus you as the administrator or the teacher, in a sense.
Outstanding. Outstanding.
to students in a peer aspect. So instead of coming off and you giving your perspective on facilitation or providing your wonder, you gave that role to a peer so that they could give their ideas on it versus you as the administrator or the teacher, in a sense.
Outstanding. Outstanding. Aggressive monitoring. Rigor. McCall, you finished. How was this session, based on the visual definition, based on the conversation that we had, was this session rigorous or not? Why or why not? Was this a rigorous session that we just had that quick? Why or why not?
I would agree that it was a rigorous session that we had. Primarily, we're looking at those two indices. The autonomy was within the group to really facilitate the discussion, to do the work of the discussion. You kind of guided where you wanted it to go, having thought about that. It was complex in that it did challenge us to do a few things that we're asking students to do, to be always present in the moment and hearing exactly what others are saying, to build upon what they're saying, to ask questions that facilitate discussion or move discussion in a certain way. So it did show that those two aspects were being considered, that the conversation built in complexity as we went along, and that it was more so driven by us around your definition of what it was.
Excellent. Outstanding. If you hear my voice clap 3 times, no, geez. Okay. Transition. Okay. So moving on, our definition, teachers, revisit aggressive monitoring. Let's begin over the next course of the next 3 weeks, the end of the cycle, the end of the 9-week cycle. Can we all agree that we will push for rigor? I believe that we are, but now that we have, let's be intentional about it, okay? All right, going to the next part of our agenda, CCRPI data. Okay, let me get that up for you. Won't go all into our data. We did it, the principal shared with us yesterday. What do we have here? This was the CCR. What does that say? What is content mastery? Someone just popcorn read that for me, just be sold for fidelity. Somebody read where we are in our CCR. This is this year's CCRPI we're going to be looking at. Just read, we're looking at content mastery, one of the components of CCRPI. Somebody tell me what content mastery is so that we can use this tool. Read it right there. Read it out loud so we can hear it.
Content mastery addresses whether students are achieving at the level necessary, and prepared for the next grade, college, or career. This component includes achievement scores in English, language arts, mathematics, science, and social studies.
Okay. We're held accountable primarily for content mastery in science because the other component deals more with ELA and math, right? So content mastery. So we're going to be looking at content mastery very, very, very briefly. And we can see where we were in physical science and biology. And somebody tell me what you see from the data immediately in physical science. This is just for fidelity. We should all know this. You don't see anything. Why was that? We didn't teach it last year. All right. So this is my segue. We are now back at physical science. Okay. I'm going to be asking, based on what we know from our team, the data that was reported to us. The challenge has been for physical science has not been the intellectual capacity of the students or the rigor push for the teacher. Here at our school, the data has shown that our students are going to need a great deal of social and emotional support. Okay? That being said, I am going to be asking that we make sure that we support our physical science teachers by checking in on them, and if we have the opportunity, seeing if we can help redirect students, grow students, build relationships. Because I believe that a part of Ms. Woodall and our conversation, Ms. Abbott, all of us, our conversation, Mr. McCall being the department chair, we are all in agreement that it's not that our kids can't do. A lot of our students in this class particularly don't come with the social, emotional support from home, and we're going to have to lift that. So I don't want us to check out to our own classes. I want us to be aware of the social, emotional lift that's going to go on in that class, because we already know that there's going to be aggressive monitoring. We already know that there's going to be rigor. But the infrastructure of those particular children is going to need the support of the department. And that could look in a variety of ways. I'm going to ask now, other than physical science teachers, what are some of the social emotional supports that we can give as a total department to those teachers so that we can all own it together? Anyone want to just jump in and chime in on that? What are some of the immediate social emotional supports that we can give to those teachers that are lifting in physical science now? What can we do as a group?
For the students or the teachers?
For the teachers and the students. What can we do? Let's talk about what we can do for the students first. Let's start student-centered. We don't teach the student, but what can we do as a department? I don't teach that child, but what can we do as a department to help grow students?
Maybe a mentorship.
Okay, that's good. Anything else? Mentorship, I like that. That's a great idea. Dr. Dancer has come up with that idea before.
Tutorial blitzes that we've done in the past.
Okay. Okay. Mentorship, tutorial blitzes. I see Ms. Woodall's taking that information down. Anything else that we can offer our group that we see? Those are with the kids. Let's talk about the teachers. What can we do for those teachers that are in that heavy lift? What can we do for them?
We can make ourselves available during extra time that we have.
Okay. Money, alcohol, that's on tape, all right? Look. We will turn water to wine. We will do that. All right, let's write that down. Write that down. The teacher said money, alcohol. Let's give both, okay? All right. All right, so we